What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. I have a 35 kill streak with the new Infiltrator Elite class I wanted to show you guys. Now that I've had some good play time with it, I feel like I want to go into more in depth of what I feel will be maybe more the meta when this new Elite class comes out for the retail version of the game here in December. And this will dive into more insights, you could say, when it comes to the Elite class than what I did in my previous video, which gave us just more of the spawn locations and spawn times and gadgets and things of that nature. So I'm pushing up here over here to C. I want to try to grab C as much as I can, whether I spawn on both sides, but especially if I'm over here spawning by A, because it does feel like the Elite class on Akibaba does spawn in kind of a awkward area. I feel like I could see it being changed for the retail version of the game. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, because I'm still able to grab that Elite class with, for the most part, pretty easy for either side that I was on. It does help when you know it's at the 2-minute, 2-second mark on Akibaba. So by having that knowledge, it causes you to make better calculated moves when it comes to picking up this Elite class, rather than just kind of frantically running out there and putting yourself in a bad position. So as you can see, I'm pushing from the side, watching to see if I can pick up any people who are going to run around. Again, it's at the 2-minute, 2-second mark, so I'm just watching over here to make sure that no one pushes out over here, which had been happening a lot. If you had played a little bit of CTE, there's a lot of people around the crate. However, though, no one ends up pushing in over here, so I'm trying to wait. I know my teammate just died, so I want to watch out for everything getting sniped from a sniper. And I run over here, and I end up picking up his kit instead. So I have to run back, pick it up, and then I'm getting shots fired on me right there. So I was able to, fortunately, not get picked off the first time I went out there and messed that up. But it does help at least that I wasn't out in the open. They weren't at least, seeing someone there. But like I was saying, I do want to push and try to get C as much as I can, because I feel like getting C at least distracts people, makes people feel more focused on that part, makes it feel more of a battle for the enemy players, and kind of at least keeps them away from, wanting to be around the kit, and it gives your teammates a better spawn position. Even if you're spawning on the other side where the enemy team spawned by E at the very beginning of the game, I feel like grabbing C is one of the first ones I go to, just so I can lay gunfire down, maybe hold them back, suppress the enemy team a little bit, just cause them to not to want to push up here as much. So if the spawn location does stay the same, I feel like C is a pretty big spawn location, despite over here them being able to have D at the very beginning of the game, and the crate spawns right over here by D. So I am trying to throw out some of the new flare that calls in the artillery strike. Now, I've heard a lot of conversation with a lot of videos lately that have gone over the whole OP aspect of the Elite class. It seems like the majority of the videos I've seen on YouTube have been about the OP nature of this weapon, primary weapon, and things of that nature. And I come from a bit of a different approach. I don't see this class as being really OP at all when it comes to its primary weapon, the Martini grenade launcher, or even the artillery strike. There's one area of it that I'll go into here in a little bit, what I think could be an OP of the actual weapon, but it would be something different than most people are kind of making mention about. I've been hearing more talk mainly about the grenade launcher itself and just how powerful it is. It's like they went back where they brought up another Martini Henry rifle of sorts, you could say, and it's another one-hit kill and things of that nature. But really, when it comes down to it, I really don't see this as being much of a difference than the tank hunter class. Essentially, you have a very powerful weapon that can shoot one shot at it at a time, and then you have its secondary weapon, which is a double barrel shotgun. Now, the difference between the Martini Henry and the tank hunter class when it comes to their primary weapon is the tank hunter class has a rifle that doesn't use splash damage on the ground, and so it has this ability to have better range when it comes to this weapon. Wow, this weapon has not as good of range, but you can have a lot of range in your close vicinity where you can use a large impact. So I just kind of see that have a trade-off towards the tank hunter, where the tank hunter, you had range, which I don't think people are respecting how big having a gun that can shoot farther away than every other gun is. If you're positioned far away from enemy players, you can easily pick off, more than one people who are, in a far range from where you're at. Well, this gun can't do it in far range, but it can pick off multiple people who are in close range. So to me, it's just a different style, kind of, and so I don't really see anything that if people would make a big deal about it being a one-hit kill. Well, that's the exact same thing a tank hunter is. The difference is that one has a long range ability and one has a larger splash damage ability, and that is debatable if you consider one or the other better. But for the most part, I see it just a different way of playing, and basically essentially the exact same thing as a tank hunter. It almost feels about to be the exact same amount of armor on the elite class as a tank hunter. I don't have any actual stats to back that up, but for the most part, it feels like that. So if you've played a little bit with the tank hunter and you feel the armor, how that is, it feels about the exact same way. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. So that is interesting to take into respect, and I feel like, again, it's closer related to the actual tank hunter class out of any of the other elite classes. So, and especially when it comes to some of the more powerful elite classes like the actual Infiltrator and the MG0815, even the Trench Raider, that can do some severe damage up close. So when you're really up close with this actual grenade launcher itself, with the not so, it's not the best, it's probably one of the weakest of the armors. So if you're in close range shooting this to someone, you're going to probably take damage even from your own weapon. So, there's a lot of things that you have to take in consideration when you're kind of close range with the weapon and how you're going to use it and approach it. I found myself a lot of times taking damage from trying to just kind of, be an easy kill, but I always found myself at times wanting to kind of switch to my double barrel shotgun in situations over the primary weapon just so I could avoid some of that splash damage when you have to battle an enemy player who's up close. So those things, I don't, again, feel like it's a big issue of how powerful it is. I mean, I'm thinking, when you think about the Villiperosa, I mean, I was using it a lot lately on the Zarishan map in Name the Czar, and just getting a good feel really about the Villiperosa. And that thing's a beast, and it's still even a beast against this class itself. I found myself in a situation where I was playing against an enemy team, and the game was, overrun, and we had lost all of our territory, so we got elite classes that spawned in on the map, and I grabbed the Villiperosa, and I completely melted the enemy player who was using this. It melts every class. It melts the MG0815, destroys the Trench Raider class. It's an absolute beast of a weapon. So again, I feel like there's more powerful and essentially kind of weapons than this in a sense. I mean, again, they're used kind of differently, but they have their different, approaches to them that make them unique. So now, when it comes to the actual flare that you shoot at that calls in your artillery strike, that is interesting because it has that circle on it that gives away essentially where that artillery strike is going to take place. So the enemy players will see that as a red circle, and your teammates will see that as a blue circle. And you yourself can't even run into it. So unless because if you run into the circle, you're going to get yourself killed. It doesn't hurt your teammates, but it does hurt you, which is understandable because you could easily just place that wherever you're at and have this kind of like full protection no matter where you're at. If you want to drop that down and get overrun by enemy players, you could just lay that down and be completely protected. So that would make it really OP. For sure. So they did a good job in doing that. I think it could be questionable whether they want to put a actual circle that lets you know where the artillery strike is taking place, but because as of right now there is a warning of where it is, I feel like it's not even that a big of a deal when it comes to, I think most of the kills I think I'm picking up, and for most people when the game first comes out on the retail version, will be from players who don't really understand what this circle is because we haven't seen something like that really in the game. So it's going to be like, what is this? And they're going to experiment with it, then they're going to die and realize, oh, this isn't good, and they're going to learn and they're going to move on. So I think for the most part, getting those artillery strike kills with the flare type gun that comes with this kit is going to be just mainly because of just kind of noobs playing. They don't really understand how the kit works, and once they pick that up, they're gonna quickly move out of that position and get themselves out from where the airstrike is. So I feel it more, not so much of a gadget to kill players, but more to move players from where you want. So, because that's what's gonna end up happening. People are gonna move from that position really quick, and so it's gonna be, you have to be more used in the sense of looking at it where the moment wherever I place that, where are the players going to be after that? Because they're going to move and they're going to go to a different position. So putting my flare in a position that causes them to move in an area where I want them to go. So for instance, let's say over here by C where I'm at, instead of placing it down here by C, I could maybe place it a little bit further behind over here where it kind of touches C a little bit, but a little bit off where C's at. So if they want to push back, they're going to run into it. So it forces them to push maybe closer to the other side of where C is at, where I could be standing with my gun or where my teammates are at. Forces them to get out of there. Maybe they're, you know, post up places where they're kind of holding down a fortification area. So I see it more something like that, essentially, than it being something where I'm going to actually get a bunch of kills. And I'm sure someone is going to get that, especially when the retail version of the game comes down. People are unaware of this. There's going to be situations, there's going to be a bunch of people there, and you're going to see it on like the top, you know, top plays of the week or something like that. For sure it's going to end up happening, but for the most part, I feel it's more just kind of a shifting of player location, and the more you kind of view it from that lens, the more I think you'll use it as being effective. Just to say, when you use that, not to get kills, but to move the enemy players to a position where if you can control it more, where you want them to go. So, and from that place then, you can, especially if you get them all bundled up into one area, you may be able to put some really good damage on them when it comes to your Martini Henley grenade launchers. So, for the most part, like I said, I don't see that being really anything that is anything anywhere close to a piece, because that has that circle there. And even if they took the circle off, you know, I think we still might be able to have a little bit of a problem. You know, I mean, they have the, I don't know, it's kind of tough, because when it comes to, it's kind of similar to the actual shaman that sent out its, you know, messenger bird out, and it's hard to really kind of for you to see that when you're battling the shaman, but everyone kind of got the sense of it the moment the shaman like stopped moving. But you know, we never had an indicator on that when the artillery strike was going to take place. So it's one of those things that, you know, you could apply it here as well too. If you could make it where you could hear the actual flare go to, you know, wherever it got shot at, or maybe we'll be able to see it well enough. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I could see it kind of bordering that area, but as of right now, it's because it has a circle on it, makes this class even less of a OP in my opinion than, you know, what I've been hearing a lot of people been talking about. So now the one part of it that I feel in combination with two features when it comes to this elite class is what I feel like could be the OP, and that is the ability to run fast and have a spawn beacon. The combination of that, when you really get down to thinking of what that entails, means I can quickly move around the map as fast as I want, faster than, not as fast as I want, but faster than the majority of players. And then I can just go lay the spawn beacon down, which allows anyone on my team to spawn. And I don't know how many times I laid that down, especially on Aki Baba. I feel like this is going to play even more to what type of maps you're on. Because Aki Baba is going to be a map, because it's a smaller map. It's only 5 territories, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be dying quickly, and they're going to be in the respawn menu. That being able to place this map, if I take a different route away from where the mass majority of the enemy players is at, and lay that in a position when I get to the actual territory, lay that down, I'm instantly going to get teammates who are going to spawn on that. It's going to be, for the most part, I wasn't having problems having people spawn. As you can see, right, I'm getting team infiltrator bonus. The moment anyone spawns into that beacon, I start getting points for that. And so it's just consistent. So being able to move across the map quickly and then laying that spawn beacon down, I'm able then to get players onto the actual capture point, and from that place then I'm able to easily, you know, cap a territory much quicker than I normally would, because you know if you're away from teammates and you're trying to cap a base by yourself, it takes some time, but you get a bunch of teammates on that actual base and you're able to move the ticker much faster. So I feel like that's the bigger one in my opinion. The whole spawn beacon in itself, it's pretty crazy when you think about it, what that's capable of. And with the speed, being able to me able to move to point A to point B much quicker, you know, look at this. You know, I just feel like it's just could be I think that's the game changer when it comes to this actual elite class. So I find that will be interesting as that progresses in the game. Majority of this game that I was playing it with, I was playing more trying to weave in between my teammates. As you can see, I'm using a lot of my mini map because this elite class is not, of course, has the strongest armor, so I have to kind of weave between my teammates and either flank in between where my teammates are at, or go completely off the actual grid where of where the mass amount of enemy players is at. So because you're just not going to win battles against, in my opinion, more than 3 players when it comes to this elite class. So you have that one shot with the Martini handler grenade launcher that, unless they're all spawned into one location, you're only going to kill one guy. And then you have your double barrel shotgun, which even then people are assuming a little bit too much that you're just going to get 2 kills straight off the bat with that double barrel shotgun, because you only have 2 shots in it. And if you use the tank hunter elite class, enough that this doesn't happen all the time. So 3 at best is what's going to end up happening, which is similar to things like the Villa Perosa, of that nature. Very similar to that, very similar to the tank hunter. The MG08 15 a bit different, and definitely the trench raider. Those are a little bit different of how those approach are, but they have their different mechanisms to kind of balance that out. So yeah, so I just think when it comes to the actual spawn beacon, I think there's something to that. And I think like I said, the more you're able to get away from, if you're able to get away from enemy players and you want to take a different path, you could easily begin to cap bases much quicker than the enemy team, and I think that could be more utilized in a sense than the actual primary weapon and the gadgets of that sort, of like the artillery strike that you can call in and in that nature. So it will be interesting again to see what happens. I'm still kind of having a little bit of a hard time getting the habit to dropping as much, or not so much dropping as much, but dropping it more in positions where I feel like it's going to be a good location. Because at the very beginning I was like spamming it. I wanted to drop it wherever I could, but there's a cooldown to that actual beacon before I can lay another one down. So I want to kind of begin to be more precise in what I'm doing, not just dropping it down for pointless reasons. Kind of the exact same way I was doing it with the actual weapon. This weapon itself, the flare that calls it the artillery strike. I wanted to get more precise with how I was using it. So I feel like the more at least I get to use this weapon and understand more placing the beacon where would benefit me the most, I think it's really that's gonna be again the difference maker when it comes to this weapon. So the more you guys get used to placing that at a precise position when you need it, where you're going to be at, not just dropping it down aimlessly and then running away from the beacon, but then again not dropping it down too late where you could, again, it's a little bit of a risk. So it's a little, that's the part you have to take into consideration, is the risk involved with you're hoping that your teammates are going to be there, and this is not necessarily going to be the case. However, that's why I said maps like Akibaba, because of the spawn rate, then there'd be a lot more deaths are going to happen on this map than maybe a larger map where you could get people who maybe can camp or hide, or it just takes longer distances for you to travel and have engagements with enemy players. I feel like you'll have maybe a little bit more of a difficult situation getting teammates to spawn on you, but for the most part I think it's going to be a good amount of players of your teams is going to be able to spawn on it. So this opens up a complete floodgate, because you have even your squad spawns, but now you have the whole team that can spawn on you. So again, I find that pretty interesting. Now unfortunately with the CTE, there was a lot of the CTE is kind of a buggy servers in itself, and so it's not the retail version of the game, and they've even made mention of this before, that the retail server, that the retail servers, in contrast to the CT servers, are not the same at all, and so they're not the best of things. And I had a lot of situations where I was just hard time finishing my kills with the Martini Henry, which I'm not really quite sure if that had to do with me just missing them, but there was I had a lot of weird things that happened, and you're gonna come up here in a second here and find out just how weird it got. And this was not the first time I had situations like this happen to me when I was playing with this elite class in the game. So it was a bit unfortunate, because I don't know what I could have done. I think I kind of could have probably went 50-0, but I had stuff like that. So you can be sure I'll be clipping this and putting this into a bug report when it comes to this elite class on the CT testing Reddit side of the game. So but yeah, I had weird instances like this happen a lot. I had a lot of players that were just appearing out of nowhere, invisible players killing me with this elite class, or just killing me just in general. But I had a lot of people who were just coming out of nowhere, and it was just really strange stuff on the CT. It made it kind of hard to get into it. So I was hoping I would find a game where I could go something like 50-0 or something like that, which I felt promising this game, and I had a couple too, the other ones that started off good, but this strange things were happening. So I couldn't get a full perfect game going on here, so that was a bit unfortunate. And something I would want to, make note about that you got to be a little bit careful when it comes to shooting that gun. That I'm not sure if I just hit it in the trees, if that's what caused the problem or what, but I've had it hit certain areas before, and it does light you on fire much worse than lighting you on fire than like a flare from a scout class. So I was in certain situations too. I was holding it out and I just shot enemy players because they popped out of nowhere like in front of me, and I shot them, and they had to stop everything they were doing because it burns you so bad. So be careful for that. And it's another thing I want to make note about why this artillery strike thing isn't like the most amazing thing, because the way it shoots, man, it doesn't shoot like a flare. A flare seems to like where the flare feels like you can shoot the flare and it lands where you want to land, even though you shot it and you thought, man, this isn't gonna land where I want it to land. Flare feels like it goes wherever you want to go, despite how bad you shoot it. This is the other way around. This gun, the flare gun on this weapon just doesn't shoot well out at all. So the arc on it, if you try to shoot it up and tilt it up too high, it travels so far, and you'll miss your area that you want to shoot it at. And if you don't shoot it up high enough, though, it shoots straight up at your feet, and you'll find yourself kind of shooting it, under to where the area you wanted it to be at. So it's kind of strange. The only really good way you're going to be able to do it is if you get yourself in a position, maybe in an angle where you're looking downwards, or you're able to get on top of a pillar or something like that. If you want to get it into farther areas on the map and get it precisely where you want it. So because it's strange shooting that thing. It's definitely different from the flare gun, how it shoots out, and it's a bit of a, it's going to be, I think for a while, it's going to take people a while to get used to that, just because it's an elite class, right? You're not going to be able to pick it up all the time, and so people are going to be a bit unaware of that, and you're going to have a lot of situations where people are going to end up shooting their own selves, which was happening to me, where I was burning myself on fire. But in that situation right there, I shouldn't have died instantly, so it was definitely a little bit of a bug that's been going on, and it was a bit unfortunate, because I think I could have gotten like 50-0 in this game, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens when the retail comes out. I'm excited for that, because like I said, there was a lot of weird stuff that was going on, and I was just like, whatever. It's not gonna happen here. When the retail version comes out, it's gonna be I'm pretty stoked for it. Definitely excited, and I'm definitely, I'm happy to see another elite class in the game. So, but yeah, that's again, just take in consideration all of those things that I kind of brought up to you guys. We'll see again how the meta evolves for the most part when it comes to this elite class. We still don't know the other two maps that are coming out in January, and so we don't know really how that's going to take place when it comes to more of a naval battle, if it comes into the naval battles themselves, and what that's going to be like with this kit being there. So we'll see again in the future what that approach is like. And I'm kind of curious again to see how that works. When it came to maps like Cape Palace, I felt like, for the most part, you could still kind of use this kit essentially kind of the same way. I wasn't feeling much of a difference. You have to take consideration the different angles that the map uses, and things of that nature. But for the most part, especially when it came to the spawn location on the map too, I didn't feel like that was much of a problem. I could see them keeping the spawn location on E, but on this map, I could see it possibly being tweaked. But not for the spawn location on Cape Palace. That seems to be just about right. Around E area, you at a 3-minute, 2-second spawn, gives you a minute more. So there's plenty of time for you to get a ship over there if you're trying to, get over there by sea instead of by land. I don't feel like it's too unbalanced from that position. But I wouldn't be surprised again if they change it on Akibaba. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Let me know down below how you guys feel about that, especially the spawn location, or maybe any little things that you kind of noticed about it. Maybe if you still do think it's OP. Maybe do you think this is an OP kit overall, and what you would like to see nerfed with it. Always interested to see what everyone else's perception is about this, so feel free to let me know about that. But that's it for you guys today. Again, I appreciate you guys being here. I am Livid, and I'll catch you guys again later. Peace.